Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the late night with myself, Grant Menke. We have a great show for you tonight. We have a special guest. He's a sort of philosopher for college students. His name's Grant Menke, so welcome to the show. It's great to see you. We have plenty to talk about today. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. So you're a freshman in college, right? Yeah, I'm still adjusting, but that's all part of it, right? Of course, college can be a tough time for everyone. I mean, it has endless learning and maturing experiences. Speaking of which, why don't you tell us about how you felt about it so far, how you felt about college? I'd love to. To be honest, it's felt like a roller coaster. I mean, so many different emotions. At some points it's been absolutely brilliant. I've had wonderful times, and then other times it's been pretty abysmal, but that's just how life goes. As a curious freshman, I've run into a few roadblocks. I haven't really been tasked to be as ambiguously creative as I've been this year. So that's definitely been something new, and it was always really laid out for me in school, and I always had a little bit of guidance, I guess, if I can say it that way. But yeah, that's been my experience so far. Right, so how's that changed for you in college specifically, like from childhood to college? I've had to really discover who I am as a creative thinker. I've had a lot of times throughout this year where I've seriously doubted my abilities, and it's been tough. I've been tough on myself and have been a really big asshole to myself, if I'm being honest. I mean, who isn't, to be fair? You have to be your own harshest critic sometimes. I've made huge strides though. In every aspect, I've pushed myself outside of my comfort zone. I've diverted away from my typical routine of just going to class, doing homework, and sleeping. I've begun to get involved around campus. I sort of explore all the opportunities in front of me because there's really so much to do at a college campus. And honestly, I don't really worry about failure too much anymore. I've already experienced it so much in my first year, and typically in like high school I'd deal with it like, oh, this is the end of the road for me, and mope around. But now you can't really mope around, because if you do, you're already behind. You're still behind, and you got to realize that failure is going to happen. Failure builds you up, and failure makes you want to do better. So for me, I rushed social fraternities, and I didn't get any bids. And typically I would have just gone home and sulked and thought, well, why did that happen to me? But this year I sort of just took it as, you know what? It happens. And the best way to go about it for me was to just move on and look for another opportunity in front of me. And what I did is I joined a business fraternity. I went and rushed that, and it worked out, because as many times as you're going to fail, you'll succeed at some point. You gotta keep trying no matter what, and you'll get there. And just having that chip on your shoulder to just keep going is definitely something that you really want, because people will not get in your way. That's a very scary thing to get in someone's way who has a chip on their shoulder. That's an excellent story, and I agree. I would not want to get in someone's way when they have a chip on their shoulder. That's like taking a bull head on. I mean, that's tough. Probably top 10 scariest things ever. For sure. So why don't you tell us about your theory of the stigma surrounding college students today? I think college students are heavily underestimated, to be honest with you. Like, not being very biased as a college student myself, but we see everything that's going on in the world. Like, we are in the middle of it, and we're about to be part of the workforce. I understand that we haven't worked professional jobs, but some, if not most of us, have a very good grip of what's going on in the world and what we have to do to make an impact. So it's not like we're just elementary or high school students. We're really in it, and we're really diving deep into it. So for me, college students are really underestimated. you're right, there's definitely a difference in knowledge. And it's not that we know everything, because we certainly don't, because clearly we're still 19, 20, 21, 22, 18 even. But like, it's just there's a divide between generations, and I think for us it's a lot to do with social media. Our creative processes are through social media. We think based on how people are going to view it on social media and how they're going to judge us on social media. So that's kind of how our thought process goes. So what kinds of experiences result from the world revolving around social media and creativity being all about social media and all around it? We're deathly afraid of failure and embarrassment because everything is out there on social media. If we fail at something, there's a really good chance that a lot of people are going to see it, and a lot of people are going to make comments on it. And you don't want people to see you fail, because if you see them, if they see you fail, they're going to think, wow, well, they're probably upset, they're probably hurting, I probably shouldn't talk to them. That's just my view on it. But that's scary as hell. You don't want to feel like that. You don't want to feel like you have to let everyone know when you fail. But that's just how social media is. For me, in my entrepreneurship class for my business requirements, I made a vlog, and it was horrendously cringy. Like really, really bad. And it was something I'd never tried before. I've always watched vlogs, but I've never tried something like that before. But just being creative in that way where I can show myself trying to accomplish what I want to was sort of something that I was really proud of. As bad as I thought it was, honestly, I was proud of it because it allowed me to be creative and it allowed me to step outside my comfort zone, which is something that I really can't do a lot in school. But that was something that I really loved. That's awesome. Let's roll a clip of that. I'm not thinking this is going to go very well, but we will find out. So let's go. You want to do my homework for me?
No. That's a lot of work, and I have other things to do.
Yeah, but I thought you'd do it for me.
No, that's not academic task.
Wonderful, wonderful. The editing's pretty solid on that, to be fair. I mean, you gotta give me some credit. It's certainly not the worst I've ever seen. You mentioned something about other projects you did during this class. Can we hear about some of those? Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'll touch on those a bit. Awesome. First, let's get a word from our sponsor. We don't have one? Oh, okay. I guess we don't have a sponsor. That's a shame. How do you make money? I honestly have no idea, to be completely honest with you. Oh, wow. Well, anyway, I made some pretty bad projects this year. For our first assignment, get this, it was an assignment on creativity. And I made a PowerPoint with words on it, and that's it. And I mean, that was all I did. It's pretty creative, right? Wow, that is pretty tough. But jokes aside, I took a lot away from that project. I was horrified and clueless about sort of what I was gonna do with that project, and I didn't want to go outside my comfort zone because I didn't know anyone in my class. I didn't want to embarrass myself. But I realized I'd be more satisfied with a project that I felt like I really was creative and showed what I was thinking about and what my mindset was, and show how I processed stuff and how I wanted to get the assignment done, rather than just a piece of garbage that makes me comfortable that I can turn in and say, well, I got it done. So yeah, that was for that one. That's great that you took something away from it. What else have you worked on? After the PowerPoint, I tried to branch out and divert my work a little bit. I tried new mediums. So one of our assignments was focused on divergence, and that fit perfectly with what I was trying to accomplish with these new projects, because divergence to me is sort of getting outside of what you typically do. Obviously, that's a pretty basic definition, but getting outside of what you want to do and doing something that maybe you've always seen before, not necessarily like something that you do, but something that you haven't done before, that you've maybe wanted to do or seen people do. And for me, diverting was making a vlog, doing a voiceover on a different medium. That sort of helped me get outside my comfort zone and make a project that I was proud of, even though maybe I'd be a little nervous about presenting it. But that was my idea through that project. And at the end of it, I felt really good about how I moved outside of my comfort zone and sort of took a risk in that, right? Spectacular. It's always great to challenge yourself in that way, in any way, honestly. I thought so. Another one of our assignments tasked us to be curious and ask a big question that maybe we hadn't known about, just any question, which I was pretty fascinated with because I'm a very curious person. Like, I'm very interested in almost anything. You can bring up a topic and I'll talk about it a lot. But so I asked my dad about anesthesia procedures, which obviously isn't a business topic, but regardless, I've always been interested in it. And that's not something that I would typically ask, but I'm curious about it, and I want to know more to gain more knowledge, because I think if you're curious, then you think about more, you gain more, and you can learn from what other people have to say, rather than think that you know everything. So being curious and asking those big questions is definitely vital, because if you want to expand your knowledge and expand your train of thought, that can help you out immensely. Awesome. Well, it was lovely having you on the show, Grant. I personally loved hearing all your perspectives, all your experiences, and all your projects, since we typically don't have college students on shows like this. So that was awesome to hear. I really appreciate you coming on. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Anytime. Tune in next week for another great show. Good night, everyone.